Hey, I want to make a couple of these small videos and keep them small and focused on one thing at a time. So this first video, I just want to show you what the default first-person player controller prefab looks like. So if you create a new project, call it whatever you want, let it initialize. What you'll want to do is first bring in the asset package for the first-person Unity controller, which is if you go to Assets, Import Package, Characters. And I don't want to deal with like dependencies, so I'm not going to cherry pick this. Let's just select all, and we can delete things later when we don't need it. You could uncheck this third-person character box here, but if you bring it in, it's not a problem because you can just delete it later. But bring that in, and so I clicked import. Now we're just waiting for it to import those directories. Now I got the standard assets folder here in our project thing. And let's see. Yeah, if we go to this cross-platform input folder and then no, it must be in characters. Okay, if we go to the characters folder, first person character, then prefabs, we got two different types of controllers. They're different in how they operate. One uses adding forces to your character as a physics object to move yourself around, and the other one still treats yourself as a physics object, but one that isn't really influenced by the environment in the same way. But here, let's make a quick environment that our player can stand on. So if we go to Game Object, 3D Object, and then Plane, click that guy, and we can also select the Scale tool up here, and click in the middle of this little gimbal or gizmo, and click and drag until it's nice and big. And then we can drag, let's drag the FPS controller prefab, not the rigid body one, but the FPS one. So we can drag it just anywhere on this plane. And so camera controls in the scene view. If you right click and you drag, it will just kind of aim around like this, almost like an FPS kind of aiming. Or if like you're in space. Now if you hold your right mouse button and you use WASD, you'll kind of move around how you would expect to, forward, back, and left and right strafe. And also if you want to pan, you can click your middle mouse button in and drag it in the view. And that should be everything you need. But if you look at this controller prefab that we just placed, it's kind of halfway intersecting the plane. And we want it to be like, level, like just above it, really. Kind of like that. And when you added this plane, you'll notice that it came by default with a mesh collider, which is what we want because we want this mesh to tell the engine this is something that the player should not be able to walk through, basically. And also, our FPS controller is already going to contain a camera, so to not confuse the game engine, we're going to remove this main camera. So just click that and delete it from our hierarchy. And try pressing the play button now. And so I am in fact on this plane and walking around. It's just kind of not easy to tell because everything's white. So if you want things to be different colors, you can, I recommend in your assets folder in the root of it, you can create a folder and call it materials. Then you can go inside your materials folder, right click, and then do create, and then material. Call it whatever color you want. I'll call this one red. And you can click this little color swatch here when you have your material selected. It should be in the inspector panel on the right here. Click that little white swatch and pick your color that you want this material to be. And you can simply drag and drop onto whatever object that you have. If you just want to apply a base material, that's fine. Unity supports that. So you don't have to texture map everything early on. And maybe just for good measure, it's good to have some reference points to break up the composition so you know how you're moving. So I'm going to add like a white cube here. Also, if you want to duplicate any selected object, you can hold Control and hit D, and then you have a clone of it, just like that. So just some quick stuff. And yeah, so now if I press play, I'll have a better sense of that I'm walking around because I have these cubes. Now also these cubes, I can't run into them, like through them, because they also have colliders on them. So for 3D things that you don't care if the player walks through, you don't want them to have colliders. That's what tells Unity that this is physics bound. But yeah, this default first-person character controller is actually very solid. It has all the sound effects, and it's actually been really refined quite a lot since I last used it. So this is kind of exciting. Like the control is better. It feels less like you're ice skating. Like you know, it feels more precise. So yeah, that's how to get a basic player controller set up. And the next video, I'll show you how to generically represent an object that you are able to act upon, like a switch or a button. And so that's what we'll do next one. So for now, see you. And save this project because we're going to leave off where we left off.